in the medical school I was studying, my atheist worldview got into crisis because I found that the more I studied, because I want to become an eye doctor after encounter with that blind patient, more I study about science, more complicated I realize the eye is. Interesting thing. The number of cells in each of our head involved in vision capturing and interpretation. The number of cells in each of our head is greater than the number of stars that has ever been discovered in the entire universe, making me realize that the reason the human eye is so complicated but yet can form nearly perfectly in such a short period of time, 9 months, is because it did not form out of randomness. It was formed with a specific purpose.
This atheist eye surgeon becomes a Christian after realizing how amazing and complex the eye is, and he thought to himself there must be a creator. So let's get right into it.
I know a big part of their story, which we haven't gotten to yet, which I am very excited to hear from you, and what inspired your ministry and your work to give sight, to those that have been injured, to the blind, was your faith. And you went into your education as, would you consider yourself an atheist? I mean, growing up in China, right. Tell me about your faith background or your lack of faith background.
Yeah. The movie God's Not Dead featured a Chinese student who came through Cultural Revolution, came to America riding the bicycle on the American campus, and their part of the story was inspired by my life story.
No way.
Just like that student.
And you guys watched God's Not Dead? That's crazy.
Actually, when the studio found the actor to play my part, they sent me the picture in a cell phone, and I looked at it. They said, "Man, here's the guy who's going to play you in the movie God's Not Dead." And I replied, "Say, at least he's better looking."
Wow.
So they found this actor. And I was an atheist, just like the student in the movie God's Not Dead.
And just for my understanding, for folks listening, you were raised as an atheist.
Yes.
And
Correct.
this was everyone in China at the time.
Yeah.
Religion
Almost
was
everyone.
not,
Yeah.
It wasn't like, oh, we're atheists. It was like, oh, this is how we are.
Actually, it's still majority, 90% still atheists today.
90% still
90%,
atheists.
yeah.
And just for folks listening, I think I'm going to guess, you tell me what you think of this. The experience of a Chinese person being raised as an atheist looks a little different perhaps than the American, I'm an atheist, I'm not a Christian. Would you say? Culturally, there's a difference there. Can you share more of your thoughts on that?
Biggest difference is most of the atheists in China, they never had a chance to learn about Christ, learn about faith.
Wow.
Because they grew up in a system, the educational system, which is deprived of all faith and religion. And so the difference between them and the American atheists is that people from country who they never opportunity, if many of them had a chance to be exposed to Christian faith, they probably would gladly take upon that. Where, they didn't have the choice. But in America, the atheists, they made a decision not to believe. So that's probably the difference.
Right. Actually, right now, Christianity is one of the fastest growing religions in China, in all over the world in China. Even though it is outlawed and you have to do it in secret. It's pretty fascinating.
So I was an atheist, and I was not interested in anything else other than science. Because remember, I fought so hard during Cultural Revolution to have the opportunity to study science. So I was fixated on science. But it was in the medical school I was studying, my atheist worldview got into crisis. Because I found that the more I studied, because I want to become an eye doctor after encounter with that blind patient, the more I study about science, more complicated I realize the eye is. Interesting thing. The number of cells in each of our heads involved in vision capturing and interpretation. The number of cells in each of our head is greater than the number of stars that has ever been discovered in the entire universe.
No.
Wow.
We have that many cells in our brain, in each of us. In fact,
what number is that?
Oh, it's in the trillions of trillions.
Wow.
Yeah. It's more than the number of stars.
A Googleplex of stars.
Yes, exactly.
Wow.
In fact, vision, as I said, vision's most important sense is actually backed up by human anatomy, physiology, embryology. Half our brain cells are involved in vision.
Wow.
So show how important sight is, right?
Wow.
So by sheer random collision, as evolutionary collision, that atheists believe it will not be possible to have all these cells in a short span of 9 months from embryo to a human being to form such a complicated structure with such a precision. Because 99.9% of the time we're born, we can see. So these cells has arranged themselves in such a sequence. Any cells out of line will be born blind. But 99.9% of the time we're born, we can see.
That points to a creator. There was a design. I just think that the design argument for God is the best. It has to be. Evolution, there's not enough time for all of these things to happen for evolution to work like that. When you think about how old the universe is or the earth is, it's still not enough time. People say, oh, there's just millions of years. That's plenty of time for things to evolve. But it's not for how complex humans are and everything else.
So it's not possible that random collision of cell can form itself in this particular sequence. So my atheist worldview was in crisis. So I started asking professor, I said, how could, I couldn't explain the atheist view about the complexity of human eyes. So one day, he was a Christian, but he didn't tell me that. He took me out to lunch. He said, Ming, what's across the street? I said, that's a car. He said, what's the difference between a car and human eye? I said, oh, human eye is a lot more complicated. He said, okay, can you imagine a pile of random pieces of metal on the street form itself into a car? I said, no way. He said, how about human eye? So right there, he opened the door in my life, making me realize that the reason a human eye is so complicated but yet can form nearly perfectly in such a short period of time, 9 months, is because it did not form out of randomness. It was formed with a specific purpose. And that
wow. You look at this microphone and you say, was this created? Yes, it was. You look at that painting, the painting back there, was that created? Was that painted? People say yes. You look at the wall, was that created? Yes. You look at these headphones, yeah, created. This shirt, this headphones, everything, that's all created. And then when you look at the human, and you ask, was the human created? And they're like, no, that wasn't created. That evolved. There's no creator for the human brain.
It's for eyesight. It's for vision. So there's a designer behind it, and there's a creator. Of course, from that point, realizing there's a creator to eventually recognizing the creator has a name in Jesus Christ, that took me several more years, which are all detailed in my autobiography, From Darkness to Sight.
Wow. What you were saying earlier about the number, you were saying the number of cells that help detect light?
Yeah, involving in vision.
Involving in vision. Is what was the number again?
In each of our head is greater than the number of stars that we have ever discovered in the entire universe
discovered.
Today. Yes.
Because I think the scientists, will estimate, or astronomers will estimate there's, billions of trillions or trillions of billions, but you're saying that we actually can discover, that are observable by humans.
Known universe is 93 billion light years in diameter. Okay, so beyond that is not observable universe, but in an observable universe, 93 billion light years in diameter, all the stars inside, still the number of stars is less than the number of cells involving vision processing in each of our head.
Wow.
So think about all these cells have to line up in a specific order in the 9 months.
Incredible.
So it's basically, I found a creator for a fundamental question such as the complexity of human eye that atheist worldview would not be able to explain. In fact, interesting. Charles Darwin, in his book, In Survival the Fittest, at the end of the book, he himself said, over 200 years ago, that my weakness of my theory, the random collision of evolution, is the complexity of human eye.
Really?
Yeah, he recognized that.
Interesting.
Yeah, so that's almost the Achilles tendon.
So his evolutionary theories, he thought were challenged by just specifically the eye.
Yes.
Wow.
That's the Achilles tendon of his evolutionary theory. And I happened to come across that 200 years later, studying eye.
Wow.
And now, from the eye perspective, I'm very blessed to be able to keep on advancing the knowledge in the human eye to as far as humankind has, we still need to push the envelope and more knowledge, but I'm fortunate to know quite a bit about the eye now.
Wow. People will say all smart people are an atheist. All scientists are atheists because anyone who really knows science wants to learn, and they're not going to believe in any fairy tales. That would be terrible. Or maybe you guys are living in a fairy tale world. The reality is that there is things that are happening that we cannot explain. There is a God who created the universe. So guys, I would love to know what you guys think in the description below. You could click a link to help you to decide to follow Jesus for the first time. I encourage you to do that today. It would be the best decision ever. Jesus died on the cross for your sins so that you could be saved. So go to him today.